Hey residents of Meepletown, today the year is 1850-ish and we are in the Hallertau region, and we are chiefs in a small village trying to build up and get the best crops and all that good stuff and be the best. We're chiefs in a small village.
That's what it says?
That's what the book says. Let's get to the table and check out Hallertau.
All right, Meepletown, so we have Hallertau ready to roll. Ready?
Hallertau.
Hallertau. Yeah, I said Haller. It's because I'm country.
I mean, it might be right.
Man, go holler that Tau. That doesn't make any sense. So we are ready to play. Now, Dean, are you feeling like you're a farmer? Like you feeling like you're ready to go? Ready to go get some hops? Ready to go get some barley? Ready to get some flax?
I'm a chief of my castle, of my mobile home here. Why don't you explain what's going on here?
Well, in this game, we are going to be sending workers out like almost every, well, not every, but a lot of UVA's games, big box games, let's say that. We're sending workers out over here, and we're going to be doing what most farmers do, and it's try to shove our house as far to the right as possible.
I mean, I can't tell you how many farmers I know, like, they're constantly saying, I just got to keep moving my house.
These houses are on rollers, and you just kind of, and you just roll it over, and you're going to score a ton of points for rolling your house over. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, yeah, and we got boulders we got to remove, but the boulders kind of move around on their own, too.
Does the book say how the thematics behind that?
Who cares about theme? It's a Rosenberg game and it's Euro, so no, I'm just kidding. I do care about theme. So, on our turn, there are big 10 steps to a round. Dean,
oh, boy.
Whenever Dean texted me, I said, I'm not that excited about this game because there's 10 steps.
And some steps have multiple steps. How about that?
They do, but it's actually pretty lickety-split.
Is it?
Yep, sure is.
It is, yeah.
We start off with 5 cards, by the way. We're going to get 4 of these gate cards, and we're going to get 1 point card, which they can kind of push us in a little bit of a direction. I'm going to show you, because we're not going to do an entire playthrough of this game. If I can get 12 wool, I can exchange that for 10 points, which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
So that's one of my point cards. The other ones are just kind of getting more resources and doing different things like that. So the first thing you do, the very first phase of the round, and you could do this during setup, but I want to show you what this was like. We're going to flip this over, and it's going to tell us which quadrants to remove the top row from. And since there's only 1 row, we're going to remove the entire row on 3 and 4. If we're playing a 4-player game, we're just going to take the top row of everything out. And if we're playing a 3-player game, it just varies based on this, on the card that flips over. So now we have a lot of spots, and we determined that I'm first. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the second. That's right. This is the second take of this video.
We recorded like the whole video before.
We did before we realized one of the cameras wasn't on.
That was the best video we've ever done.
Woo! All right. So the next part of the next phase. So the first is just flipping that over, clearing it out. The next is going to be removing this card. When you remove the card, it will reveal that we are going to have to give up one good of these to move these buildings. So not only are we moving over our house, we also have to move over the manufacturer, the brick, the bake house, the cooling house, the brew house, and the carpenter house to be able to move our house over. There's a lot of houses that are moving. This game is called Rolling Houses.
In the 1800s, the dramatic reason behind this, the 1800s, they just had to keep moving. They had to keep moving.
Had to keep doing it.
Their village.
All right, so Dean did hand me these. That's actually in step 4. Step 3 would be no, it's fine. Sorry. It would be to activate any cards that we haven't played that's giving us a recurring bonus. We don't have those because we haven't played yet.
That's right.
So Dean gave us workers, but I will mention that it is for how many are in your little window there. That's right. Nice. I like that. Huh? So we both get 6 to start the game off with. The next phase is we start placing workers and doing what we need to do. So
we're going to play exactly the same way we did last time.
We're going to try. I'm going to first go down here to sheep and grab a sheep and a hide. So that's as simple as that. I'm going to place my hide down here. I like the way that you keep up with the goods in this game. You don't have just piles of goods. You just move them up and down. Now the sheep goes down here. And you just put it on the row below, and if you get it in round 4, 5, or 6, because this is a 6-round game, you'll actually just move them down here to where they're protected. Sheep die in this game.
Yeah.
They get old and they die.
They're just going to die. That's part of it.
But there is a way to genetically engineer sheep, and they gain extra life.
That's right. Well, it's sheep shearing. You
That's not it.
Shear the sheep, not
and it gives genetically
mutate them.
You do.
All right, I'm going to go here since John got that sheep.
Does shearing sheep really give it like a extra? Is this year by year? That would be pretty impressive.
I don't know if it adds a year, but it's got to. Have you seen the sheep that have not been sheared with the giant? Like,
oh yeah.
So it's got to extend their life. I would think. I'm not a shepherd, or a sheep farmer or anything like that. I'm going to go to the weekly market, though. I'm going to buy myself a sheep. It's going to go down here, just like John's. Partly I did that, not because I need sheep right now necessarily. One, I like getting animals in games. I just do. Agricola, I'm always going for the animals, so that's what I'm going to do. But also it hurts John. I'm going to take my...
Wow.
Speaking of liking animals, I'm also going to take a lamb chop. What is this? What is that?
Meat.
Yep, meat.
Did you slaughter somebody?
No, I bought it from the market. I went to the market.
Oh, yeah. You gotta... Yeah, okay. So I am going to then go over to cultivation, and that allows me to plant 3 different things. So let me think through something real quick. 1, 2, and then I could do that. I could also do that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to cultivate, and I'm going to put this here, and this here. So I'm spending 1 because I have 1 of those to plant those. All right, Deanie.
All right, Johnny. Let's take one of my workers. I'm going to try to take advantage of the 1 spots if I can do that first. So I'm going to go down here to small trade, and I'm going to gain lots of stuff. I'm going to gain 2 crops, and so I'm going to take a hops here.
There you go.
And I'm also going to take one of these wheat. I will then take I can take a milk or a wool. I'm going to gain some milk, so I'm going to take a wool, I think. And then the sheep gains 1 round. Just like John talked about it, the
you mutated him.
Shearer.
Or her.
I didn't care as much about that right now, although that could potentially help later on.
I'm going to go here to gain some clay. Now, I can gain 4 clay or get another patch of land. What is it called? Field.
Thank
you.
Patch of land.
I don't know. That's the new title of this game. Patch o' Land. I'm gonna make a game called Patch o' Land.
Okay.
O-Land. Like Land O'Lakes.
John took the best spot. I'll go ahead and say that.
But you had plenty of chances to get that spot.
I did, but I also needed a few other resources to help me in other areas. So since you took that spot, I could place 2 workers and do the same thing, but I think I'm going to play things a little fast and loose here. I'm going to go to land sale, and I'm going to get rid of a field, leaving myself with only 2 fields. So so when I do that, I'm going to gain 1 jewelry, and I'll explain what that does, and then I'll take 3 clay or brick, whatever that is. With the jewelry, it's going to help you move these over without having to pay the resources. So I can just use this to pay it. Now,
especially later in the game.
That's really right. What I like to do is if I have jewelry, is kind of save it for the end of the game so that I can just start sliding over without paying resources.
Because as I mentioned, we're paying 1 good. At the end of the game, you're paying 6 goods or 5 goods of any 2 type or 4 goods of any 3 type of these to be able to move these buildings. So that's like... You get your engine going and you're getting more stuff. You have more fields and stuff like what I'm going to go ahead and do now, I think.
You want to be well-rounded in this game, that's for sure.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that, I actually kind of wanted to move my rows up, but I really wanted that spot. And I thought Dean was going to go there, but he didn't. So I'm going to go up here, which it cost me 2, but go ahead and kind of prep and grab another field. And now my field, I've got one in the 5th spot there.
Yeah.
So kind of prepping for next round.
Yep. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Thinking back in the first playthrough this, I don't remember what I did do.
Just
to
do
be
whatever
honest
you want.
with you. Yeah, I'm going to, John. I'm just going to do it. But I don't know what I need to do. I know I would like to plant some goods potentially. That could help me out a little bit. I will do that. I'm actually going to do this. So I'm going to place these here. And that's going to give me another wool.
I think that's what you did.
I think it is too. And then I'm going to plant some goods here. So I'm going to plant, let's see, I will plant this, whatever that's called, and I will plant this, whatever that's called. Flax and wheat.
If you see me looking upwards a lot, it's because...
You're nervous.
I'm nervous that the camera's...
All right, so that's all I do is I plant those, and I'll be able to harvest those later on. However, ready for this? I did have some...
That's good.
I had some wool. I've got 2 wool now, and all I have to do is have these wool. I don't have to spend those for this type of card.
There are spendy cards.
That's right. And then I'm going to gain a milk, and that will help me with sliding these buildings over. But then with this card, I also am going to gain one of these market cards over here.
Some of those gain victory points. Some of them, Yeah, gain
That's
cards and stuff like that too.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, and so for my last one, I'll use this to share the other thing that you can do with your workers is you can trade them in for tools. So I'm trading in that little worker, and I'm gonna get a tool, which tools are all about moving these boulders over. Without tools, you can only move your buildings over one space each.
That's right.
And I have a plan.
All right. John McClane had plans. I've got one more worker. I can do the same thing, but I'm gonna not do that because I don't anticipate I'll be able to move these over anymore. There's a reason to move it over, like John's talking about, but I'm just going to use this to gain an extra card because that's also going to give me the first player marker, which I already have.
Oh, whoops.
I didn't. John actually started the game, but I had the worker over, or the first player marker over here.
He's cheating already.
So I'll gain one of those cards, and that will be it for the
Interestingly enough, if I had more workers, I could take it back. So this basically it's hot potato, and whoever has it at the end, it's a good thing instead of a bad thing.
Yeah.
All right, so that is phase 4, and that's the most intense phase in the game, the longest phase for sure. Now we're just going to pop through some of these phases. The next thing we're going to do is simply take that farmyard card that we took off the board now that our workers are off and put it into our hand. Okay, I'll take that. It's not bad. Okay, then we're going to harvest our goods. Now, before we harvest our goods, the next phase is if you have an empty field, it goes up. So it's actually thematic.
Yeah.
Like you let the ground lay fallow, it has more nutrients, and it's better for you, but I can't move it beyond 5. Then you harvest, and because you are sucking the nutrients out of the ground, your fields go down. I like that. That's nice. I really like that mechanic.
It is neat, yeah.
I think it's really neat. So now that we've done that, we're going to gain a milk for every sheep that we have. So we both gain 1 milk. And then we're going to do this thing. So I'll just really quickly share, and then Dean and I will do this simultaneously. But you're going to, again, need to have, in the first round, 1 good of any of these. Now, there are 2 buildings that you have to have more than, 1 good more than the other. So like at the brew house, we have to have more barley than hops or more clay than grain. So there's no way that we could do that by paying. In the first 2 rounds, you can't because you've always got to pay more of those goods than the other goods. So now, for example, I'm going to go ahead and actually, you know what? I meant to do that. Now that I have 4 flax, I can play this 1 card, which says up to 1, 2, 3 sheep, gain an extra round. How about that?
Oh, nice.
So 1, 2, 3 sheep. I'll go ahead and move this sheep forward 1 round, and I'm also going to get 1 of these cards. So, oops, this is the card that you got last time.
Is that right?
I drew the wrong one. Here.
That's not right. I didn't have any more cards. I'm all caught up now. I have everything that I had. Yeah.
I thought you had that one last time. Mm-mm. Oh, I had that one last time.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? You all right?
I'm mad at myself. The reason, it doesn't really matter, but Dean would be like, you're cheating because we're supposed to play through it like that.
No, we're good.
Okay. Now
as long as you don't take advantage of the mistakes.
Now I'm going to spend the flax that I did. The mistakes I made earlier. All right, go ahead. We can just shove these things over.
All right. I'm also going to spend...
might as well spend another flax.
The flax here. I'm going to spend the wheat here. I'm going to spend the...
spend that. Just set that over there.
I'm going to spend the milk here.
You got to spend that.
My only barley. I may have messed that up. I should have had maybe more barley for going into the next round.
I am going to spend my tool now, which you don't exhaust it, so I don't place it back. I mean, you do exhaust it, you don't lose it. Except for the last round, you do lose it, just because there's some in-game scoring. So that will allow me to shove over this boulder. When I shove the boulder over, then I can spend that and move this over. And there's a reason that I've done that. And Dean knows the reason. Then the house shifts, now that we've moved those buildings over, and we're both going to have 7 workers.
How about that?
Then the boulders move by themselves. So you got to spend tools to move them, but then at the end of each round, they always reset to the 2 and the 4 spot.
The theming in this game.
I'll tell you what.
Like caramba.
The boulders move by themselves. That would be frightening.
More frightening than a moving house.
Would you be afraid? Would that be what? Can I talk? Would that be a scary movie if boulders just moved?
No, I think it would actually be good because they're always moving away from your buildings.
Indiana Jones.
They're kind.
If a boulder's coming at you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do one more round. We're not, again, doing the whole playthrough thing. We're going to do one more round, and we're going to roll. So let's start it all over again. Let's flip over a card real quick.
All right.
We're going to do this lickety-split. So we're going to go to the first quadrant and take the top row of that, and the 4th quadrant, which, that's kind of disappointing.
Maybe not.
Wasn't a lot that opened up
Opens up your sheep spot again.
We still don't have anything that we're gaining perpetually. That was a one-time bonus, so we don't do that. Now we grab our, actually we're supposed to take this off the thing, and then we grab our workers. Now you'll see now that it's going to cost us 2 goods in order to move them over. So even though you build an engine, it also becomes progressively harder. Did you give me the right number?
No, I shorted you.
You shorted me one, didn't you? And Dean gets to go first.
That's right. That's right, I do. And remember that time that I got rid of my field earlier? I need to figure out a way to replace that. So I'm just going to go here right off the bat. Not replace it necessarily right now, but what I will do is move both of these up to the 5, and then I will be able to plant one.
That's very frustrating because that was the spot I wanted to go to because I have these 2 fields that are all the way down in 2, and I was going to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Now I can still do that.
I feel terrible about that, actually.
I can still do it.
I'm going to plant a hops up there in the 5. Got a reason for that. It's going to help me out and to win the game.
It cost me 2, though. I'm going to go over here, and I need sheep, and while I can only pay 1, I might as well go ahead and do that. Also need hides. So I'm going to tan your hide, son.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right.
Has anyone ever told you they were going to tan your hide?
I need to...
In a serious, did your mom or dad, say, I'm going to tan your hide?
No, I think that's a Tennessee thing.
Oh,
I didn't grow up here, so... Let's see. I'm going to go up here. I need to get some more fields. That's what my focus needs to be.
I think I heard my grandparents say that. I don't think my parents said they were going to tan.
3 level 5 fields.
The thing now,
we didn't weep.
If you told a kid you were going to tan his or her hide, they might think that you're going to the tanning bed.
You think so?
Yeah. I'm going to tan your hide. They're like, sweet. How much are you going to pay for my tan?
You done? Is that it?
That was nonsense. Jeez.
Uh-huh.
Did you go here?
I did.
I think last game you didn't do that. So now I got to think through my strategy.
Oh, you're right.
No, it's okay. Let's just keep playing.
You're right.
Just keep playing.
No, that actually messed me up, though.
Do you want to go back and do something?
No, it's fine.
No, let's just play.
I'll keep it.
Let's just play. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go down here then to cultivation, and I'm going to cultivate that. Am I? No, I'm not. Then if you're going to switch it up, I'm going to switch it up.
Nice.
I'm going to move 2 fields up to 5, and I get to plant 1, so now I'm going to plant that.
Okay. Yeah, I messed myself up more than anything because I wanted to have an extra field.
More than anything.
So I'm going to, actually this will, in the long term, kind of mess both of us up, but I'm just going to go ahead and take that and take a level 4 field.
No, you're going to
force field?
I thought you were going to take the clay. Now, clay in this game, if you have the special cards, there is magical powers, and you can plant clay. Normally you can't.
That's right.
But there are special there's magic.
I don't have any of those cards this time. Those cards are really nice, though. Yeah, I did mess myself up, though. I see why now.
So I'm going to spend... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so I'm going to cultivate here, which will then allow me to... Wow. I screwed myself up, actually.
Me too.
I messed it up because I should have... Yeah, because I only had 1 of those left. And so now if I take cultivation, the negative is I can only cultivate 2 because you can't cultivate hides and you can't cultivate that. But I really need to do more cultivation this round. So I could just take it and only do 2. This spot would require an extra worker, the one that allows me to do 2 there, which, wow, that is a really stinky thing that I just did. But you know what? We're not playing the game through all the way, so let's just go.
Yep. I played much better that first time. Really, I did. It worked out so much better for me. This time I'm going to have to spend 3 workers. The last time I was able to gain a tool, I'm not going to be able to do that now. And here's the thing. I don't have any barley. Is that barley? Mm-hmm. I don't have any barley at all, which is it's really bad. However, I do have a jewelry, so that'll help me out a little bit, but I don't want to waste my jewelry in the second round. That's why I played much better last time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant 3 different goods. So I will plant 1 of these wheat. I will plant another wheat in the 4, and then in the flax I'm going to plant in the 5.
Got a lot of goods, a lot of fields planted there. So
I have some good goods, but I don't have all the things that I need necessarily.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just go down here. And the reason that I wanted to shove the brew house forward one spot and use my tool last round is because when I go here, I can move a craft building back. Now, if they're next to the house, you can't do that. So it's going to give me 2 jewelry. So basically, I'm trading moving one spot backwards to now move 1 2 spots or go 2 spots forward. So I think that's a great trade for 1 worker.
Yeah. Yep. All right, I'm done. So
I'm going to go ahead then and trade this in for another tool. So now I've got a couple tools, and there we go.
I'm in bad shape with the tools for sure.
The farmyard card goes into our hand. That's not bad. And then we do the whole field thing. So we move our empty fields up, and then we harvest and move the fields down that we've harvested. So I'm actually, look at that. I got a whole bunch in rows. Do I have something that...
That was good.
I've got a card that if I have no fields in rows 2, 3, and 4, I can gain a milk. That's hard. That means that you just got to have your fields like shoved up all the way.
Didn't you just have all yours in 5? Or you didn't plant them all?
I planted them, so I had to lower them.
Oh, I got you.
Anyways, okay, so now that we've done that, we gain milk for our sheep. So it's time to milk a sheep. Do you know how to milk a sheep?
That's right. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and play these 2 cards while you're talking your nonsense over there. This is 8 crops of the same type, which I do have of these. That's going to gain me a sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Where are we at? Here? Then... Does that go here
that's
or
why
here?
you went.
That would go
It
here.
goes
We're
in
in the second round. We're in the second round. Okay, and then I'm going to spend 4 of my hops to gain me 2 hops. 1, 2. And a sheep. So I'm going to have
That's weird.
2 sheep that I just gained.
You trade in 4 hops for 2 hops and a sheep. That's interesting.
It's just that basically that you have to have it. So that helps me out with milk for sure.
You went to the market and someone was like, I'll trade you 4 hops for 2 hops and a sheep.
That is.
And you're like, okay, you gain a card too.
It sounds like a bad. That's right. I do gain a card. Sounds like a bad.
You're like, why can't
trade.
I just trade you 2 for 1? But the reason is because they want you to have more. It'd be too easy. You okay over there?
I'm dying. That's all right.
Ooh.
I'm good. I'll be
sorry
right.
about that, dude.
I'm pulling through. Okay, sorry. And then I gained my milk already.
We have to call Jonathan in.
That's right.
All right, so now that we've done that, we got our milk, and we're going to do the buildings forward thing, right?
That's right.
So here we go.
I'm going to talk through this. I'm going to pay... Oh, we got to pay 2 this time.
Yep.
And it's 2 goods of any type that are listed on there. The qualifications change, like John said, of what types of goods that you can spend later. 2 wheat.
So it gets real fast in this game.
I'm going to do 2 milk. I'm going to do 2 brick. Ooh, that's all my brick. And then, unfortunately, like I said, I'm going to have to spend that jewelry for the barley. That's bad.
Move this forward.
That's a bad move.
And go 1, 2. Move that bakehouse.
Good thing we're not playing the full game, because I think you would win this
and
one.
then I think, should I just do that? The problem is, I don't want to spend my hides that much because I have a card that allows me to. That's going to be really tough, though. I've got a card that if I have the equal number of hides and wool, that's my number in the window, I'm going to get 3 meat. But man, that's a lot of... It gets progressively harder.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get progressively harder. So I guess my thought is, should I go for that or should I just... moving the other one forward, but then I have the tool. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Who cares? So I'm going to spend 2 more. I do have to spend a tool to move that like that. So there we go.
Exhaust a tool.
Exhaust a tool.
You're setting yourself up to get more jewelry, which I think is a good thing. John's got a good thing going right now.
Wish we were doing a complete playthrough of
this. Yeah, you would be whipping me, I think. I was doing much better with that other playthrough than I
Would you stop whining about that?
Made a mistake.
I was going to ask you, have you ever milked anything before?
No.
Okay. Me neither. I don't think I have either.
Are we done?
Yep. You talk about art and components?
Yeah, art and components. All right, art and components.
What'd you just say?
Art and components.
There we go. Second try's better. We'll just jump out.
Go for it.
I love the art in this game. Look how beautiful this house is. I think it's gorgeous.
Who did the art for this, John? Do you know?
I
need to look this up.
It's not Clemens Franz.
Let's see.
I actually love I don't love the that top part and the bottom part as much. I love the art there, but it makes the name stand out really well. I think the art's gorgeous, and I love how in most of Uva's games now, they're putting these they're not just cubes. They're actually, wheat and milk, and they look like that. I think that's really nice. The cardboard's nice and thick. I've got no complaints about it. And there's a lot of components in this box.
Lucas Siegman?
Yes, that's who it was. Yeah.
And Clemens Franz.
Did he do it too?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's a thick box, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is another one. It's the same
one
thickness
of those big box.
Caverna or something like that. So
yeah. I'm with you. I'm not as hype on the art. I do think it's nice, but it's not like
there we go.
It's not like the most amazing art in game ever, but it's still beautiful. I agree with you there. And I always like the customized meeples, and like a lot of Uva games, there's a lot of different resources that, utilize that. So
true.
I'm with you.
And there's different sets of cards. So these two things right here have like 4 different sets of them, and they look different on the backs of each, like a little bit. Like the gate's a little nicer in the second series than the broken down kind of gate in the first. So that's another part of let's just roll into gameplay. I do like that about the game, that there is the variability in this game really comes in the cards and how the cards come out.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of cards.
You had mentioned there's 4 different like stacks, but then
grab one of those stacks.
How many different?
I'm gonna make you move.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Look at that. So that's that. But
are these all the same? Yeah, these are all from.
And that would be including that. So it's 4 big old thick stacks, which is nice of those, and the same of that. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that about Uva games, by the way. That kind of moves into gameplay, but I
already said we're moving into gameplay.
I
already said that's the second time that I said something and you didn't think I said it.
That's part of components. These are components. That's
you don't
what we're
listen
talking
to me.
about.
But I said we're going to be moving into gameplay.
Oh, this is awkward for everyone.
I feel
to listen to us argue.
I love awkward moments.
Moving into game. I'll move us into gameplay then. When you.
But I'm editing this.
I
the
like
gameplay's
that.
already set it on the screen.
I like that about Uva games, the variability that you get from
like Caverna.
From
there's
cards.
A lot of different buildings.
There's a lot of that. There's what's the
Agricola has
the
a ton
fishing
of
game,
cards.
that smaller box fishing game that
you love that game.
What is that called?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my goodness! It'll come to me maybe.
How do we not know that? We've played this game.
I own this game. Yeah,
I know.
It's a great game.
Newsfjord.
Newsfjord. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of games that have a lot of different cards. Even oh goodness, never mind. I'm not going to try to think of another game. I can see the box cover in my head. A game that I just played recently. But anyway, I love that about Uva games.
When you don't think of something, do you blame it on COVID all the time?
I do.
Like
old
even
age
if
and
it is
COVID.
Or not, you're just like, that's a COVID thing.
I got old age and COVID brain going on. That's bad.
All right, so I'm just going to go with my positives right off the bat. What my favorite parts of the game? The card play. Well, now if I'm going to talk about the positives, I should talk about the positives first. You know what? I'm just going to go where I was going.
Let me just go. My favorite is the card play. That might not be yours, but I love.
It's not.
I love how the cards kind of direct your play. Like you start off with 5 in your hand, you're going to get some from your board, you're going to gain from here. As you play cards, you're going to gain more cards. That's one of my favorite pieces of the game because I think it kind of moves you in a direction. And I know you're going to talk about this as kind of a negative, but you can get bad draws of cards. However, you're getting so many cards and there's so many opportunities to gain cards. I think some of that should balance out a little bit and help you with gameplay, I think. But I like how it directs you in that way.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I want to say it's one of my favorite parts of the game because it is.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it is a negative for me that you can just have lucky draws. Dean has lucky draws. He keeps them in his dresser. But you do. I mean, like if you draw a card that's like you already have the things, boom, play it and you're done. You know what I mean? But as Dean said, hopefully they balance out. I'll say this also, like these point cards right here, it's like you have that balance. Like you kind of want to get those early in the game. You start drawing those at the end of the game, and you have to have 12 of this one resource, and you haven't. You're not really building up. You don't have a mini sheep, so you can't get the wool as easily and stuff like that. Then you can just place a worker, and that was it. You just wasted a worker. I don't like that. Like, that can happen. But then I guess you could say, well, you shouldn't place there in the 5th round, potentially. And maybe you're right. Yeah. So, I mean,
but the positive is that you are gaining the first player marker, which can be really big in this game, especially as
potentially gaining it.
Yeah.
They can take it back.
Well, right. They can. But if you're getting it like, I've got an extra worker, oftentimes towards the end of the round, you're like, do I want to use this for a tool, which usually is important, or do I want to gain a card, which can be equally as important because gaining that thing. But no, the problem with these That's not a problem. It's just the reason why I don't often go to this spot to get the in-game scoring cards is because you have to give up a lot of resources. You have to give up 12 brick to gain 10 points. You've got to.
And if you're thinking about it,
look at this one: 8 sheep for 12 points, and sheep are really difficult to come by.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I mean, you're going to score in this game. Let's just talk about this: a ton of points by moving your house over. Mm-hmm. So you get it to the very end. Which, hey, I've heard a lot of people say it was difficult. Dean did it his first try. So you're very good at board games, dude.
I won the game.
Yes, you did. Yeah, and that was a very tight game. Mm-hmm. I was 1 resource away from winning that game.
That's right.
Let me talk about that here in a second. But, I mean, if you get all the way shoved over, you get 70 points. The other person gets 50. That's a lot of points to make up. You also are going to get points based on, I'm just going to move these over, like what's exposed. So let's just say, I mean, if a player gets all the way to the end, then not only are you going to score 70, look at that, I'm making an absolute mess of this. Not only are you going to score 70 points, but you're also going to score, I think that's 15. So 15, 30, 45. So 45 plus 70, it's 115 points. Is that right? So that's 115 points. That's going to be tough to make up, even if you got some good cards. Let's just say someone goes 50, and you know that's a 26 point, if I did that right, a 26 or 29 point, depending on how I just did that, difference.
Right.
Like, you're going to have to give up a ton of goods to make up. I mean, that would be 3 cards of, like, giving away 10 or 12 things. But here's the thing. Positively, jewelry. So if you play the jewelry right, which I think is really one of my favorite parts of the game, is playing the jewelry right, is that you could say, well, I'm going to go for a couple of these cards, have a ton of milk, but I'm just going to keep getting jewelry if I can, and just moving the cooling house over that way.
And I feel like in your first game, maybe even your first 2 games, you might not recognize the importance of that.
Jewelry. Like, that spot's so nice. Even giving up fields to gain a jewelry there is so nice.
That's right. Now, this one doesn't seem like it's nice, because why would I, give up a craft building, move it to the left and gain 2 jewelry.
You're just delaying it to gain...
You're basically just gaining 1 jewelry for free, I guess. Is
yeah, but they get harder in the progressive rounds. So
right. That's why it's if you can get those towards the beginning, you're going to be in a lot better shape.
Yeah, I really like the way this works. I just think this is honest. It's so simple, but it's just like one of my favorite parts of the game is it's so thematic. Like, the fields get... the more you use them, the less valuable they are. The more you let them rest, the more valuable they are. I think that's really, really cool. Of course, you can put your super fertilizer on it, and they go all the way. But that could be thematic too. You're fertilizing the land. You're doing that. I think that's really, really neat in the game.
I agree with that. Now, one thing this game can do, but not necessarily, is it can kind of force you into doing everything, which may or may not be a big deal for you. So for me, one of the big reasons why I don't just absolutely love Agricola is because I'm forced to farm. I'm forced to take care of animals. I'm forced to plant things and things like that. This game does the same thing, kind of, but I think there's some ways around that, I guess. The jewelry is one way around that. But also the cards are another bigger way around that, because here I was in kind of my engine building process, getting these cards out there that would allow me, for example, to be able to, if I have 5 sheep, then I would be able to gain a wool every round. And then I can also slaughter a sheep to gain 2 milk every round. And then, this other one lets me get 2 hides if I slaughter a sheep every round.
Wow, dude, how did you...
I just got really...
See?
Really
That's
lucky.
what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about, Meepletown.
But, now I'm losing points at the end of the game for those sheep, but it's 1 point. Who cares about that, right? I would much rather gain the resources from this. So there's ways around of having to, do things to gain the resources if your cards will allow you to do that. So now I can focus on sheep, and then I can really focus on gaining a lot of these, and then potentially the jewelry, which makes me like that part about it better than Agricola, because I don't feel so
interesting.
I don't feel so pigeonholed. But now that's a me thing. I recognize that not a lot of people. Everyone loves Agricola. It seems like.
I feel like I can do more of what I want in Agricola. Like Agricola, I mean, of course you have to have certain things you lose points. Mm-hmm. But I could just grab 1 or 2 of those and really go heavy in a particular direction.
Yeah, and that's why it's a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get past that. I don't want to lose points part of it,
So for
a positive for me, and I know that, John, you're going to talk about this as well. I like the way the worker placement works in this game. I like that you're going to have some of these spots that will just have 1 worker, but they're not going to be blocked out. Yeah. There's 16 spots on this board. Most of the time, you're going to be able to at least be able to take the action, even if you have to spend 3 workers.
Yeah.
Now, as the game progresses later on in the game, some of these spaces are going to be harder or maybe even impossible to go to. Like this cultivation one, it's already filled up. Now, if the card that John flips over doesn't erase that top level of this, well, this one's just not going to be available for that next round. And then you see more and more of that as the game progresses.
Yeah. So here's the things that I like the least about this game. And they're admittedly, they're totally personal preference. And that's this. Like, I like tighter worker placement spot games where, like, if Dean goes and fertilizes, then I can't go there. Mm-hmm. Now, I do have, of course, spending 2 workers instead of 1, that's significant. Like, wow, you got to spend twice as much. However, you're going to have to do that. Like, Dean's going to have to spend 2 workers for another spot over here. You know what I mean? So, I mean, positively, it's nice that it forces you to want to go to the spots that are the least and make those work for you. That's kind of cool. But again, I like this fine. It's just I prefer his other games where Dean goes and does that, and now I can't go there because it's just. So it depends on what your style is.
And it is, it's totally a personal preference. John tends to like tighter games like that, whereas me, I like to have things a little bit more open.
Because I feel like in those type of games, the player interaction's higher. This game, this is the player interaction. You're soloing all this, but you're player interacting by basically making things cost more for more players. Yeah. And that happened. Like when I went, I was thinking, hey, I need to take some fields, which I could have done to make it harder for Dean. But he can get it. He just has to pay, another extra worker. Mm-hmm. Unless it's totally blocked off. So in a 2-player game, we didn't see that happen a whole lot last time we played, or I guess this time that one, but.
It's as the game progresses, it becomes more and more difficult.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I don't love about the game is along the lines of what Dean said. I feel like in this game, it is difficult to specialize. Yes, you can get some cards that allow that to happen, but for the most part, you're trying to get all of these goods. And again, you will specialize when it comes to like the end game scoring. So you can kind of do some of that. But it feels like you said, I have to do everything. Like, I've got to get this, I've got to get this. Because I feel like if you don't shove this really far over, you're probably not going to win the game. Yeah. And I just don't love that about it. Yeah. I just don't. Now, some people are going to say they like that. They like how you have to get a bunch of everything. And this game feels very puzzly. Like, you're kind of all doing the same thing to a degree, just who can do it the most efficiently. But you do have the cards that do change it up a little bit. But I like a Caverna, where I can go, one of his games, where I can just go, I'm going to go and do X, Y, or Z, and go heavy in a direction and score points. Maybe I do need to pick up some other things, I need to get some of that and some of that, but I can really specialize here. It gives me more to explore. And I like the exploration of some of his other big box games more than this, where it's, I feel like it's a more puzzly kind of in nature game.
Yeah, which I like puzzly games, but if you're talking about this, I'm with you, John. This is my least favorite part of the game, which is weird because this is like the biggest part of the game in a sense. Like, not in a sense, it is. The biggest part of the game is moving these over, so this will move over, give you more workers, give you more points. But I like how everything works, right? I like the worker placement. I like the engine building. It's not huge engine building, but some engine building from the cards. But the card play, the workers, how all of the fields, everything here, I love. I really do. I think it's great. But then when it comes to the biggest part of the game is, so I'm just going to spend all these resources every round just to shove the house over. And I feel like you do have to have this broad thing, except if you have jewelry.
Jewelry can help with that.
Cards can help with that for sure. But at the same time, ultimately, you're going to have to just move all of these over somehow.
Just about as far as you can.
And that's the part that's like a negative, and it's a big negative because that's the biggest part of the game. It's just not enjoyable for me. That part is not enjoyable for me.
You're already in your final thoughts.
I am.
So, I'm going to put that on the screen. When you start talking about that. Yeah. I agree. I mean, Dean and I think, feel really similar about this game. There's some positive things. Since we're doing our final thoughts, I love the way this works with the fields. I enjoy the card play. However, it can be, there's luck that can be involved in that, and I don't love that part about it. I just don't personally feel that satisfied by just moving the building over. Get a bunch of different resources, moving the building over. Some people are going to totally disagree with that and say they love it. I mean, I've got a friend that he and I almost we love the same types of games. This is one of his favorite games of all time. For me, it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm usually willing to play it. I like it. It's fine. But, I mean, if you want to play A Feast for Odin, you want to play Le Havre, you want to play Caverna, you want to play Fields of Arle, like, there's so many of his big box games. This would be low. It's not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. It's a really well-designed game. For my personal taste, it's on the very low end, if not the bottom, of his big box games. But it's still fine.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. Like, it's fine. I tell you what, I was a little disappointed in Pfister and Rosenberg this year.
Sorry.
Oh, Nova Luna was good.
You mean in 2020?
2020, yeah.
I'm right there with John with everything.
Entertainment 2020.
The score and everything. So I'm at a 7.5. Excuse me, a 7 out of 10.
We did it. We're the same.
As well as John is. If all of this was still there and this was different, I think I would probably
like
feel different
more
about that.
Yeah.
Now, that's a personal thing. Like, it's just...
I know, it's totally personal. People are going to love the way this works.
That's right. That's right.
That's why you watch the gameplay.
But it's just like you're all gaining the same resources. I don't even know what that would be. Like, if these were different for each players, that might change it. But probably not. I don't know. I have no idea. Like,
that's
I don't know what it
interesting
would...
thought. If these buildings were more variety and you had different buildings, then someone could say, I guess you could get lucky or whatever. But if there was some variability in that, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I'm doing the same thing over. The variability comes in the cards.
Yeah.
You're making the cards work for you.
Yeah, like with Agricola.
It's kind of like Agricola in that sense.
Agricola, this is I don't think this is the same as Agricola, but the thing I like about Agricola is that you're like building these things, like you're putting fences and doing all that.
It feels like you're accomplishing something.
That's right. And here you're not really doing that. You do have the animals, you have these, but I love the way this works and how all this, again, everything out here, it's just this just doesn't do it for me. So that's a 7 for me. It's a 7 from John. Tell people how they can get in touch with us.
If you're enjoying our channel, we would love for you to subscribe to it. Go to Meepletown Games to check out all of our stuff, even pick up a little swag. Board Game Geek Guild, nope. At Meepletown Games on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we're Board Game Geek Guild 3407.
Thanks for coming down to Meepletown.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Meepletown Games, and connect with us on the Meepletown Guild, Guild number 3407, at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.